2 more seats, I reckon.
No.
Did the governor come out and say that he was gonna add some more to the restaurants and stuff, or?
He
Should I
didn't add
get my
anything, he
mask?
just kept it at,
Should I
he
get
kept
my
it
mask?
at
What are we
4
doing?
basically, we're at 4.5, so we never
Socially
did 5.
distance, you don't have to have them there.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I brought it. It's upstairs.
So that lasts until August 27th now. So the rest are 75%.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Lawrenceburg Redevelopment Commission meeting for August the 10th, 2020, 4:30 p.m. Ms. Brookbank, can we get a roll call?
Executive Director Brian Messmore.
Present.
President Richard Richardson.
Present.
Vice President Lenny Fryman.
Present.
Secretary Kevin Schaefer.
Present.
Member April Fritsch.
Present.
Member Brian Johnson.
Present.
Lawrenceburg School Board Member Brian Jansen is absent. City Attorney Del Weldon.
Here.
Thank you. If we've had time to review the previous meeting minutes, I'll go ahead and take a motion to approve those.
I'll make a motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion does carry. Do we have any announcements this evening? From anybody on the board or Mr. Messmore?
No, I'm good. No.
All right. Kelly, can you go ahead and provide us with the financial report?
As of August 4th, 2020, the balance for redevelopment is $2,405,879.53. And after monies promised towards projects, it's $1,424,888.93.
Thank you. Throw that over to Director Messmore now for Urban Fast
Urban
Forward.
Fast Forward, yes. I'm asking the board to move to table that for this evening, and we'll be looking for a status report out of the next meeting. And if anybody has any questions at any point in time about the activities that are ongoing, please be sure and give me a call.
All right, so we need a motion to table this for tonight. Do we have a motion for that?
I'll make a motion.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second from April. All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. That'll be tabled to the next meeting. And now we have Funny Farm Coffee.
Yes, while they approach the podium, come on up. I just want to just say a few words. Been working with Mike and Kate and Jenny for a couple years now, on and off. They were some of Jenny's finest students in the small business boot camp that the Redevelopment Commission helped support a few years ago. They have been keeping their eye on Lawrenceburg diligently and looking for an opportunity, and they're here this evening to present their business plan. I will say it's a coffee shop with more, and I just want to remind everyone that, you know, this is an opportunity for a business that, you know, helps provide, you know, a livable community 7 days a week for our residents, and it also provides a great experience for visitors when they come to town, and so hopefully he'll return. So I just think, you know, this is one of the projects that was on the top of the list. Coffee shops and places that sell beer. So glad to have you here. Yeah, glad to have you here.
Thanks for having us. So my name is Mike Detmer, and I'm really nervous.
Don't be.
It's my wife, Kate. We're here to introduce you guys to Funny Farm Coffee Company. 10 years ago, we started roasting coffee in our kitchen, sharing it with our friends because we realized how good it was. It was like, whoa, this is something. And as people started getting into the groove of our coffee, the business grew to a point where we invested in a commercial roaster about 10 years ago. In the last 10 years, we have been at all the farmers markets around the tri-state, building a grassroots effort to get behind our brand and our quality of product, and we have been pretty successful in that. We're here to ask for support for leaseholder improvements to the building at 29 East High, which we believe will be the premier coffee location in downtown Lawrenceburg. So
I'm here to help.
2 years ago. Brian mentioned the small business boot camp. We went through that and then came to talk to Brian and the mayor. They were excited to entertain our concept of having a coffee shop in downtown Lawrenceburg, but there was no space suitable for what we wanted to do. We had looked at a couple of buildings down this way, but really had our eye on the old bookstore because it just has the ambiance that a small town coffee shop would, want. So we realized that the space wasn't available, and we were still looking to go into our own business after having gone through Jenny's boot camp, and we found a building in Greendale at the corner of Nowlin and Probasco. In November of last year, we purchased the building, and then in November of last year, we opened Greendale General Store. We serve fresh coffee, homemade cookies, sandwiches, soups, local, quick, easy lunch foods. And it's been really successful in a really strange time. Fast forward to May of this year, Jenny calls us up and says, oh, hey, that building at 29 East High is going to be available. And kind of tentatively we're like, well, okay, well, we'll go look at it. But things are really it's just a lot to take on right now. We went and looked at it, and it became obvious that it was just the original vision was coming to fruit again, and that was the best place for a coffee shop, a strictly coffee shop in downtown Lawrenceburg. And with our concept of putting a coffee roaster in the store and presenting people, a visual conception of the bean all the way through the process, we believe that we'll be, a great attraction to downtown Lawrenceburg. So we're ready to jump in with both feet. We're 100% behind this concept on a personal level. If you have any questions, please feel free to let me know. So market description on coffee, everybody knows that coffee is a hot commodity. Everybody drinks it. Our market advantage is that it's fresh every week. We will roast as much as possible to supply Dearborn County, downtown Lawrenceburg, Greendale with the freshest coffee available. We've had to skip out on going to the farmers markets this year, but we see that again in the future, like a local presence on multi-faceted approach to get people's attention to our business. We want to provide fresh local roasted coffee in downtown Lawrenceburg. I think that people really need a place to gather around a community and to become a part of a scene that we would like to build through entertainment, like limited entertainment, wine on the weekends and the evenings, fresh roasted coffee, community events, and the like. In downtown Lawrenceburg, there are competitors. We personally feel that when there's competition in an area, that everybody has to put their best foot forward to bring up, the businesses all around the area. It's a healthy way to do business, and it will attract more people to downtown Lawrenceburg, where you guys have invested a lot of money in a really cool venue. For us, the opportunity to be down in that area is really exciting to us. You can see the SWOT analysis for the four main competitors. But what we have going for us is that we've built a fan base. We're connecting with them in Greendale, and we're willing to bring them down this way as well. We own another coffee shop already. It's not a full-on sit-down coffee shop, but people come to us for fresh coffee all day, every day that we're open. And you guys are already kind of invested in this because Small Business Boot Camp was a thing that the city put on, and here we are. Maybe the only people that have come through to fully realize a vision of what you guys were looking for in the first place. Good? Hours. Sorry. So we do plan on being open 6 days a week. We realize that there are several businesses down in that end of town that don't fully utilize the events that Lawrenceburg is having. We think that in order to be the premier destination coffee location, we have to be open when the customers are around, and that includes when you guys have events, when the
Event center.
the event center is happening. We want to raise the bar in downtown Lawrenceburg.
Mike and Kate, what will normal business hours be?
So originally to start, we were thinking 8 to 4. with the ability to push the hours out at the end of the day on Friday and Saturday, especially into the 8 to 9 p.m., maybe 10 range, depending on what the building owners can agree upon. But I have already said to them 9 p.m. on Friday and Saturday would be, something we'd want to do, but we could probably get a little bit more out of that. So that would be probably Monday through Saturday with one day off. But if there are events downtown, we would be open anytime that there's an event that's going to draw people to the downtown.
Have you thought about it all any earlier than the 8? And the only reason I'm asking that is being in downtown, you have a lot of business people down here that there simply is no place to get a cup of coffee at 7 o'clock in the morning, 7:30 on your way into work. You're already at work at 8 o'clock.
So we have talked about that as well. And honestly, it's mostly about starting on a level that's manageable and then growing in both ways, which is what we've done at our other business. We have just slowly added more hours both sides of the day to accommodate for customers. And we do understand that 7 o'clock coffee is where it's at. That's what's going to put us in contention with what's happening out on 50, get people back here. So yeah, we want to continue to grow, but we do not want to overcommit. We want to over provide, before we, walk before we run,
I can appreciate that. Along the lines of what April just mentioned is the people at the hotel, if they've got to be somewhere for a morning meeting, they're out of there by 8.
Okay, yeah. One of the things Jenny had really emphasized during the small business boot camp is to have consistent hours, and not always be moving your hours like left and right and trying to, build that. But we definitely, it's just the two of us, as far as leading the business, and we want to build a team that's sustainable. And a lot of people open like this and have to contract their hours. We'd rather get to where it's something that we can sustain.
But what Mike was saying about what we've been doing at Greendale is basically we've found the market. It's like, when do you want us to be open? And we've been open. So this summer has been, everybody wants to come for ice cream. So we're like, okay, we're going to stay open until 8. So we're really flexible as far as if there's a market, we'll be there to provide for it. When we hear that, because we were looking at when businesses start, okay, well, most stuff opens up around 8, but you made a good point about, well, people are looking for coffee before 8. So we're basically pretty flexible as far as those kind of things, because I think we mentioned it, or maybe not, I know it's in the PowerPoint, that we're all in on this, so we don't have a backup plan or anything like that. So we're pretty much gonna do what it takes to make sure that it's successful.
Didn't cover that all in thing, but
we're all in.
Mike, I see you guys in the future want to sell wine and stuff.
Yes, sir.
Now, is that going to bother, I don't know what the law is that going to hurt anything with the kids going in there when they're selling wine, or is that going to make a issue?
We're going to research more on the alcohol permits that are available and see what works best for the community. We're right now focused on the coffee thing because we know that, and we think we can get that footprint going pretty good. And then as quickly as possible, add the wine thing. And I think it would be the same as Strong's or, any other business
because we'll be serving food.
Yeah, we'll have food and coffee as well. It's not going to be just
That won't
a wine
intertwine
festival.
where you can't, it has to be over 21 to be in there.
I don't think that would be the case if we have food to
Be an
offer.
issue?
Yeah.
How is the general store right now compared to where you thought it would be in your projections?
During a pandemic, it's great, honestly, because seriously, we know that the traffic flow through Greendale, because the pool's been open, we're not quite hitting the projections we thought we would, but there's also a captive audience in Greendale now, and the timing, honestly, for us down there was pretty good in the sense that we established ourselves as a small corner convenient place for people to come when they needed something to do. When they're like, you can't go anywhere. They came to us, and we have been practicing, social distancing and masks and really trying to keep ourselves and our customers safe. We're right in the pocket of where we thought we'd be, but obviously with the lack of traffic that's coming through to the pool, there's less people through Greendale, and we expect to actually be even in a better position next summer. And the number one thing was to, like Jenny said, make sure that you're getting paid first, and we're doing that.
So where are you guys, I think, as far as April goes? My question is, where are your hours? Because I heard a lot of complaints about the hours when you guys opened in Greendale, that you wasn't open enough.
Yeah.
And people would go and you weren't open, the hours weren't long enough during the day. And if, you guys are all in and it's only you guys running it, and I mean, how's that gonna interfere with what you guys do down here as well?
We're working on building a team that can go between both locations, so that we will not be, either one of us necessarily all at either location. And the proximity of the two are very, convenient for us to travel back and forth between. And so, starting out, we needed customer feedback. Like I said, we didn't want to be open like this whole time and then have to contract, and like you're gonna make people like upset on either end of that. And we're just trying to slowly like find the spot where the community is going to be happy with our presence. And down here, it's going to be early morning, coffee with.
Well, like a lot of people that they do travel out of the city to work. I'd be one of them. I won't be able to visit your establishment because you'll be closed when I go to work and you'll be closed when I come home. So.
What are those hours? We're
I
open.
usually leave at 6:30 in the morning.
Okay.
7 o'clock sometime, and then I get back into town 5:30. So, I mean, to me, it's like a Beebs and Bubs to me. I mean, they're never open either. So,
Our goal is to accommodate as many people as we possibly can, and that feedback is helpful in that for sure.
like that's my big concern is the hours.
Okay.
How many employees do you currently have?
We have,
Two of you?
no, he actually has a full-time job, which is something that would also change should we open another business. So I've been running the store in Greendale. So it's me and we have 4 part-time employees who are working with us. They are ones that have been, one of them in particular has been with us since the very beginning in November, and have grown. I feel like we've got a good team that we can also draw from to bring that knowledge here. I think one of the things that we went into with Greendale was nobody knew how to make an espresso or a latte, and we have gotten the training and we have gotten very proficient. I have a couple of employees who have really taken upon themselves, they want to become experts in it. So I think the prospect of being able to actually be a true barista as opposed to working in a corner store, I think is appealing to them. But we really appreciate having a good team that we can draw upon to increase, to increase our knowledge down here.
We would expect that to double at least to 8 plus us, and possibly more depending on how the expansion into the evening crowd goes.
So that's what you're saying, that if the Lawrenceburg opens, Mike, you would be there full time. You would quit your job, so you would be 100% invested in that.
Absolutely.
And then for additional part-timers.
Yeah. The goal is to build a team that, that becomes familiar with the community in both aspects. So, and as we do that, I do believe that we'll be able to expand hours and selections and other parts, of our business will be more attainable for everybody. Cool. So, the marketing plan says grand opening would be projected towards September, but I think that's a little optimistic. It would be more like in October. We know how the red tape rolls. It takes a little while to get through some of the processes, but we don't see anything that would hold us back from trying to be open sometime in early to mid-October. We believe in community-based events, and we're going to educate people in coffee culture, wine, local food products. One of the things that we have established over the last 5 to 10 years is a connection with a lot of makers of local products. And we plan on, not exclusively carrying local products, but being local centric. We want everybody to know this is how cool your town is. These are the people that are doing these things. You guys should come, support them with us. It's one of the things that's very important to us. And we've recently started working with a social media manager. So we expect our presence online and through other, events happening to elevate over the next year.
That's someone local, or is that an organization that you've hired out?
He's in Northern Kentucky. And it's a long-term friend that I've had forever, and he's trying to get a start. So we've made an agreement at the beginning. It's Kate's baby. Like, she has been in charge of the social media presence, but we believe that he needs help because he worked for music venues and some concert venues down in Nashville, Tennessee, which are dried up right now, and he definitely could use our local support, and we trust his judgment to do that.
What's the capacity inside 29 East High Street? Do you have any idea?
As it is, it would be 50 people, and then there's courtyard seating on the outside that we would figure you could get 15 to 25 people, depending on the layout of the area.
Is that with COVID restrictions, or is that?
Well,
that's just.
that was just from Carl, yeah.
How much different will the building look and feel when you guys are done?
The feel,
You want me to take that?
yes, please, because you,
I've been looking at the design aspects. So we're looking at something that's, it's not secondhand, it's not collected from thrift stores, and, you know, doesn't feel like you're, no offense to grandmother's living rooms, but it's gonna be something young and fresh, kind of modern, taking with the exposed brick and the natural tones, well coordinated. So it'll be comfortable. We anticipate having seating with tables, but also some areas where there'll be, you know, some chairs and some like armchairs and couches and things like that. So it's really a comfortable atmosphere where people can relax. It's not just like, you know, you could sit and have a meeting with people if you need a table and chairs, but you could also just come and hang out and relax with friends and things.
Free Wi-Fi?
I believe so.
Yes.
we will do that.
Not
Do they
really.
have citywide? Like,
It's pretty weekend buildings.
yeah, we'll project
I mean,
Wi-Fi
yeah.
for sure. So, cool. On the financial analysis, startup costs, you can see the fixed assets, leaseholder improvements are the main thing that we're asking for support from you guys today. We personally, through using the Main Street grants that are available and our own personal savings and finances, to the tune of about $26,850, we would like to partner with you guys in this. The building needs some upgrades, like a 1,000-gallon in-ground grease interceptor that is required if we want to do any food prep, as we were told. So that's a huge investment. Some electrical upgrades and plumbing upgrades. And you know, we understand that, you know, in order for that business, that building to become a true gem down there and really live up to its potential, these upgrades would be necessary to make the building thrive.
So that's the bulk, those three items are the bulk of the 25,000 on the leasehold
Yes.
improvements? The plumbing, electrical, and the grease hold?
And the vent for the roaster, yes. That would be the last piece to that.
Has
Yeah.
council approved the use of the side lot?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, which was,
Clear that up, we have a variance,
Well, we have,
not a
we
variance,
have a easement that
easement.
was approved. The location is just currently approximate until Mike gets his plumber there, and then we'll get an exact location, and then we'll get that surveyed and a legal description and recordable
Okay.
easement.
Or license.
and,
Or, open it up to your department.
and we're working with Mike, Carl, Mary from the Board of Health, all the local people that we need to make sure this can happen the most efficiently and effectively that we can do it.
So could you explain, just real quick, I guess I'm not really getting it, but, so approximately $63,000 is what you need to get going, right?
Total, yeah.
So through the grants and everything, that's roughly what, 35?
Well, it would be, yeah, I have the back there.
I'm just wondering where the other 20,000 is gonna come from, or?
From our, from us, from our,
It was their own
okay, that's fine.
savings.
from
Yeah.
us, yeah.
Yeah,
We're
just
in,
Yeah, their own
for
savings.
sure.
Alright. So the equipment and all that, you're buying that?
Yeah.
Okay.
We do plan to use some of the Main Street grants for purchasing of the equipment, but there's definitely a gap there that we're covering.
All the other money's coming from yourself, though?
Yes,
That's what I just
absolutely.
wanna make sure of that.
And this would also be based, Brian, would this be something that would be based on the same restrictions as all the other startups as far as the obligation to stay in business X amount
Yes.
of time?
Yeah, when we would draft up the agreement, we would include the clawbacks. You have to remain in business and understand your lease is for 2 years. So we may have to modify some of those terms, but it'd be very similar to the clawbacks placed in all of our agreements.
Yeah, we're fully committed. We have negotiated with the building owners for the first right to buy the building if we're under lease with them. I mean, we're committed to wanting to be a part of what's happening down there. We do believe that is the coolest spot, like between the convention center and the new park, and that if we show, that we support the community with fresh coffee and the right hours to, make sure everybody can get down there and enjoy it, that we're going to be successful and that the city's going to benefit from that as well.
I would suggest the only thing is on the hours, even being flexible on that, maybe shave it off the end of the day and bank it on the beginning of the day. Only, I mean,
I like coffee in the afternoon.
You drink coffee
You're
in the
one of
afternoon, in the evening.
of course, there's always going to be one that says that.
Just one?
There's always going to be one that says that.
Well, I think, what I hear is you're willing to adapt, and you've heard from us, and just like the word eventually in the wine, we'd like to scratch eventually and say as soon as
We want
possible.
wine.
Inevitably.
Yeah. I mean,
Definitely.
In your minds, when would the wine start?
It's in a month
Yeah,
or
if you-
two
Yeah.
after opening.
We'd have to go through the process of getting the license, but like
Understand.
as soon as we can establish ourselves as an open coffee shop, we would start chipping away at the next hurdle, and that would be it.
Okay.
And so as soon as possible.
I'm not going to mention who wanted the wine right away.
What, Kevin wanted the wine?
I didn't say, I didn't mention it.
Oh, sorry.
We do understand that that's
Sorry about
actually
that.
a big piece of the revenue stream that we could get from that space would be the wine.
Right.
So, it's in our best interest to get open as soon as possible with
Brian,
that.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, go ahead.
Brian, have you started any talks about the clawbacks as far as have you guys started putting any kind of contract together or anything yet?
Well, we have multiple contracts to choose from, but it's generally if you don't remain in business for X period of time, you owe us that money back, and we don't pay it until you receive an occupancy permit.
Right.
So it's not anything you get up front. It's, when we have a cup of coffee, then we can supply that, and then there's, again, I'd have to talk to Dell about, because of the 2-year thing, we may have to we used to do 3, but because it's a 2-year lease, we might have to chop it off in those terms,
And you're saying that the money, the $25,000, if that is decided upon, that's given after they're open.
That's correct. They're at occupancy permit is what we say, and sometimes those are simultaneous, and
Right.
sometimes they're.
So that's our story. I mean, I don't know, there's a pregnant pause there, but we're happy to answer any questions. We're definitely committed to opening businesses that the community wants, and growing to try to accommodate as many people. I understand those concerns, but we really are trying to do our best as new business owners during a pandemic to present what the community would want and grow it as we can with more employees.
You may have already answered this, but I know you said you increased your hours percentage-wise in Greendale, like 5%, 10%, 20% since you've opened.
We were open
11 to 6.
We were open 10 to 6, and then after, it was weird because we closed for a bit, and then the pandemic and COVID and all that, and then we reopened. We're currently open 11 to 8, Tuesday through Saturday, and then we added Sundays as well. I'm on the spot trying to
So
do
closed
that.
on Mondays then.
We're still closed on Mondays, but we were closed Sunday, Monday, and now we're open Tuesday through Sunday, so we're just closed on
But
Mondays.
as we go down this road, we're going to try to synchronize more so that, both locations are resembling a similar path for manageable.
So here you'll be closed one day a week?
That would be the original plan, yeah.
Okay.
So more than likely Monday.
I thought he said Sunday.
Well, I think
Unless
it's
there's an
probably,
event.
the plan with Greendale is, because we are so heavily focused on ice cream, we'll shift a little bit as we get into the cooler months. And so when we do that shift, it's looking like we'll be closed there we'll be open there Monday through Saturday and then do the same thing here.
Mondays are like there's a hole on Mondays here. I'm sure that when other businesses are closed on Mondays, there's some advantage to that being open.
But like Mike said, if there's an event at the event center, we're gonna get those coffee. Those people want coffee in the morning before they leave.
You gotta have to watch it, Mike, because you're liable to get a liars club down there.
I've heard.
I mean, it's notorious around here.
I think we had that before the meeting today.
So, how did you guys find this passion for coffee? Where do you come from? I mean, tell me about you.
So, I have lots of cool friends, and they turned me on to hey, you guys should try roasting coffee at home. It is something that you're never going to regret. So, okay, let's try it. You know, we've tried to brew our own beer, our own wine. We've made mead. I keep bees. Like we've done honey. We're into a lot of cool hobbies that provided us something to sell. Number one at the farmers markets, but number two, something we personally enjoy. We live everything that we sell, whether it's the homemade soap that we have or the fresh roasted coffee. So just roasting on this little bitty thing, you know, kind of what really got us and me personally into coffee. Kate came from Northern Kentucky, so she was more cultured than me. But Hava Java, right down here, right after high school, it was a place that existed, and maybe it's a fable in my mind now, but that was the place to get coffee.
That was the
in Lawrenceburg when I was a kid, like when I graduated high school.
The
like,
burritos. You ever had one of their
I don't remember the burrito. I just remember like tasting coffee and being like, it doesn't taste like the coffee that I get at the Shell station. You know, I mean, it was better. And so from that, you know, slowly the passion just grew to like drink better coffee as I got older and my taste refined. But then once I roasted my own coffee, it was kind of like, oh man, this is amazing. It's fresh. It's bright. It's vibrant. It's have you ever had super fresh roasted coffee? Because it's a different level of taste sensation.
I had to give up coffee, but
I'm sorry.
I have had coffee.
But yeah, but
it does make a difference.
So, and it makes a huge difference because anything you're getting on the shelf is months old, generally speaking, unless you're at a roaster. So then you just let a few people try it, and then I got on YouTube and I got a bread maker that I rigged into a coffee roaster with a heat gun, and I could do a pound at a time at that point, you know, and I was still doing it like 4 days a week. And then we saw a deal come through, and my wife let me be crazy and say, hey, we should get this roaster. You could do 6 pounds at a time. I could do, you know, like up our capacity or reduce the amount of time I have to roast. And I fully expect that actually if we get a good footprint going down here, that the potential to just keep expanding the roasting business and really work on local businesses and getting, you know, their coffee needs taken care of would be great long term. So, you know, we live, you know, on 28 acres in Morris Hill, but we are selling and moving down this way. We have dabbled in organic gardening, beekeeping, like I said, just all kinds of cool hobbies.
This was a hobby that turned into something
yeah,
profitable.
this one got wheels finally. You know, I'm guilty of dabbling in a lot of stuff, but the coffee is the thing that I've stuck through with for the last 10 years, because it really does. I mean, when people get fresh coffee in their mouth, it's just I don't even know. Like, you can change their morning. You know, make their day better. I don't know. I like the connection of
So
curating an experience for people.
Will the landlord let you keep bees up on the roof?
Oh, Tom, can I have bees on the roof? He doesn't mind.
I'm pretty sure there's an ordinance in the city that says you can't have bees on the roof. But
Right? No. I
maybe
think
we
we
could
can.
change
Is there
it,
an
right?
ordinance?
Get some
Yeah,
fresh
so,
honey.
you know.
So I guess what some people might be thinking, or a question that they might have, you've been at the Greendale General Store for a little over a year, correct?
Well,
We've been open 9 months.
Yeah.
9 months, so a
And
little
then
less than a year.
a whole summer's worth of slogging through bureaucracy to get there, you
Open
know.
up another location, another facility. How are you going to deal with the pitfalls and the strains that would put on your own personal lives, and as well as the original business that you have? I'm sure you've thought about it.
Yeah.
We're madly in love after being married for 20 years, and we're committed to each other, and this is our collective vision. We don't have many distractions outside of doing this. No kids, no farm now. Like, you know, we're focusing our efforts into wanting to drive the brands, the brand of Greendale General and the brand of Funny Farm Coffee, because we think in, you know, 10 years from now, those are going to be worth something to the community and to ourselves. Like, and it's something that we can stand behind at the end of, you know, our journey and be like very proud of. Like,
On a practical level,
Sorry.
he's the idea guy. I'm the practical one.
I get the sense of that.
Yeah. The two businesses actually has an opportunity for us to really play to our own strengths. I'm the practical one. I pay the bills, I do the ordering, I plan the menu, I do all the kind of nuts and bolts stuff. Mike's the people person. He gets out in front of the community, like today. He does training, he works with the state. Not like I don't do these things, but that's really his forte. Building the coffee roasting business. So to have two businesses, that really, I think, like I said, it'll play to our strengths, that, you know, we can each focus on what we're truly good at, kind of avoid stepping on each other's toes a little bit. But I think it'll actually overall lead to, I mean, it is daunting and it's kind of crazy considering what's going on now. But I think we're definitely up for it. I think we have a good framework in place. And adding a second location, while it will be more labor and more everything, it's also going to help us be more efficient with, you know, everything that we're doing.
similar suppliers, you know, same employee base, things like that.
The, what you're asking for, or what let me go over this here, just so everybody's on the same page. The financial analysis page for your funding sources. We've got estimated grants, Lawrenceburg Small Business Action Grant, you've got $7,500. Lawrenceburg Signage and Awning Grant, $2,894. And then your ask from the Redevelopment Commission this evening is for $25,000. Correct?
Yes.
Speak to the importance of that $25,000, if you would.
For us to have, you know, over 25,000 of our own money in equipment and the essentials to open the storefront, the upgrades that are needed to the building, the grease interceptor. If we don't get the grease interceptor installed, we can't make food. You know, like, and it raises the potential use of that building long term down the road for years to come in downtown Lawrenceburg. It's a hard, like, that's a heartfelt, like, so.
Well, I want you to speak from the heart.
Yeah, no, and I think that, you know, to partner with Lawrenceburg on this project, on a building that they may not, you know, own, but it's in the prime spot, you know, of what's happening in downtown Lawrenceburg. You guys have invested all around that building. If we can get the support of the city, it's going to make the building and our chances for success a lot higher. Then we do not have to go to the bank for a high interest loan on the small business, you know, in a tumultuous economy. We believe that we would be good partners with you guys, and we'll help carry out any vision, and are open to suggestions on how to make the best business and the best community down in that area. It's really about, like, going in together. We're willing to commit, and, you know, should this not come to pass, it's going to slow the whole process down, but we're still committed to doing a coffee shop in Lawrenceburg. It needs to happen. It does. Like, Lawrenceburg, it really just needs a community gathering spot outside of the park that you guys have just built. Now this is, you know, a more in tune with, you know, the local coffee crowd and the community that wants to gather around that. That was not a very good answer. Sorry.
No, it was a great answer. It was a great presentation, because I believe that it came from the heart. And I think that's what makes a difference. I think anybody in the room would probably think that as well. You guys are invested in your community. You're invested in your business that you currently have. You want to expand that. You want to open up the door of opportunity for yourselves. You want to move into Lawrenceburg. Also noticed here you said you wanted to move to Lawrenceburg from Morris Hill. You're in the process of doing that. And we'll tell you, there is an ordinance saying you can't have any goats, bees, chickens, anything like that.
We're
I
prepared to
threatened
make
to-
the sacrifice.
I threatened to bring some to Greendale, and I got shot down quickly.
Yeah, they'll shut you down fast out there. Does anybody else have any additional questions? I guess on my end, what I don't like is to have to make a $25,000 decision based on an immediate presentation and then no time to think about it or to ponder it or to even look further into your presentation after. But are we looking to get a motion tonight? Does anybody else feel comfortable making a motion to proceed forward with this evening?
I brought the proposal to the board this evening with the intent of moving forward.
I would like to go ahead and make a motion that we move forward with putting together a contract and us reviewing it, but giving Brian the authority to go ahead and start working on that with Dell, and then possibly, finalizing it, maybe if we have a special meeting or something like that. That way we don't have to wait another month.
Is that good, Brian?
Well, I mean, obviously, I will work with you in any way that needs to be done. The contract, we've done that before. I would prefer, I can't make the motion, I just would prefer that we would move forward.
You're saying.
I think the contract is just
Is standard.
pretty standard.
Yeah.
It's
The
it's
only
not
change
putting
that
together a
would need to be
contract,
made
it's
would-
a standard
Well,
contract.
here's the thing.
3 years down to 2.
And that's fine. I'll support it. But, I sat on this board as a school board representative, and I heard Beebs and Bub come in and got quite a bit of money to, add a freezer, and, they were going to stay open longer hours, and they were going to do this, and that lasted for about 2 weeks. And I just want to make sure that we do right by the citizens' money.
Well, I would agree with you there, 100%.
Now, and like I said, I
100%.
didn't have a vote then, but I do now, and I just want to make sure that we do right with the citizens' money.
So what you're saying, Brian, is in the contract, even though it's a standard contract, you would want Brian to add that there's
Well,
regulated hours, there's,
All the
like you
callbacks
said,
that were
just things
discussed.
that
Yeah,
specifics.
like I said, my biggest concern, was the hours. I won't be able
You're
to,
okay with regulated
patronize your
hours
place.
in a
But
contract.
that's kind of what I want, maybe
Sure.
Brian, for you guys to hash out. But we're talking 25,000. That's not a huge commitment, and you guys are putting in. You're more than matching it. So I feel comfortable with that. But I just, I'm all right moving forward.
Mr.
Go ahead,
Weller?
Dal.
So if it pleases the board, would it be acceptable if we drafted a contract that said they're open at least 6 days a week, at least 8 to 4? That they have at least 4 part-time employees plus themselves, that they stay in business for at least 2 years, that they contribute the amounts themselves that they've represented here tonight, as well as obtain the matching grants that they open by the end of October at the latest. And all of those things would be conditioned upon, if they don't do any of those things, then they would have to pay the money back. So we could have a contract that would be very specific and hold them to their promises and hold us to our promises. Is there anything else that would need to be in that?
I think you want them early, you want them to open up.
Well,
early.
I just think, like I said, the capture, but it's not my, I don't want to see you guys fail, but I think you're going to be missing a lot of business opportunity by not opening before 8 o'clock in the morning. Most places have to be at work by 8 o'clock around here, so if you guys are just opening, and I think
Yeah.
that's setting yourself up for failure. And, I think Brian's one of, a few people that drink the afternoon coffee, but I think April said, why don't you guys open a little earlier and, maybe close a little earlier,
Sure.
See
In that
how
case,
it
we would
goes,
open
but,
earlier and stay open later.
See you guys lose that morning crowd.
Sure.
So,
That's a good point, because at the event center, I think it's 6:30, possibly.
The coffee shop.
Yeah, it's either 6 or 6:30, because I go into work at 7, so
Okay.
I would go in
Gotcha.
there and get my coffee from
Yeah,
them,
totally
and along
open.
with
you
a
guys got
lot
a
of
great
other
idea and
people.
concept. I think, maybe
Just to
the
be
hour
helpful.
just needs to tweak just a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, if we could we could hash that out, and everything else I think Dell said was good, except for the hours. I would like to, you know, maybe look at that a little closer.
What do you think of that, Mike?
Well, I'm just I mean, we can't be too. I mean, I think what they've demonstrated is a business plan, a startup that's safe, secure, and promotes a successful opportunity. I don't think they're going to turn their noses at a great opportunity to sell coffee at 6:30 or 7 in the morning when they're ready to do that. What I don't want to do is put 7 o'clock in a contract and put them in a situation
Where they're staffing a restaurant for 2 hours
that's
with nobody
not
there.
open. I mean, they need to determine.
Yeah, like I
what
said, it's
works
not for me
them.
to
And I
determine
get
their
you.
hours,
I mean,
but
yeah.
I'm just saying, I mean, you know,
You know,
we're
we
in
need their
Lawrence to start a
presence.
business that we want to service.
As
you
I
know,
said earlier, we need their
Lawrenceburg,
presence
and most people are going to be at work
6
by 8
days a
o'clock.
week, open the best part of the day that they can be open to be successful. Again, we want the community to be livable 7 days a week for the people who live here. They will figure that out.
Okay.
And then we want people who visit to have a good experience and come back.
Yep.
I mean, we have to be, and the contract has to be,
Yeah.
you know, I just think we just got to be careful what we're.
And I know what he's doing. He's gonna figure out, he's gonna fill it out. And he sees that there's more people in the morning, he'll eventually open up earlier. They just wanna do
We're
what they
committed
gotta
to
do with this
being
virus.
fully functional business,
It's just a mess.
and I do understand.
I understand that.
Do we have a motion on the floor?
We do
Yeah,
have a
what is your
motion on the
motion,
floor,
Brian?
so
Well-
that either needs to be kept as it is, or you can rescind it, but Brian has made the motion.
I'm going to go ahead and just move forward with my motion.
With your
Or the
motion as it
motion, yeah.
stands?
Yeah.
So that would include moving forward with the $25,000, but also making sure that the contract was agreeable to the board first, is that correct?
That was what my motion was. I'm going to stick with it.
Okay, do we have a second to that motion?
I'll second that motion.
I'd like to
Thank
better
you.
understand it.
Well,
Where-
can we get clarification
Well,
of that? I
my
think what you're,
clarification was, like I said, is, you know, once we get a contract that's solid.
you want to see a contract to make sure that the board itself agrees with the hours,
Yeah,
with
why don't we have
stipulations, with the
we could have a
clawbacks that are
special
in.
meeting, or, you know.
So
even
you
if
do
Dell
want
sends
the
out,
special
an
meeting?
email, you know, let us proof it or whatever.
Okay, so, and again, I'm just
How
asking.
about like, you know, maybe, go ahead and move forward with it pending the final review of the contract, similar to what we did with, the firehouse, the final contract.
Does that give you the confidence you need to move forward?
Dale, can we have that tomorrow?
That
Well,
would.
We could publish a work session, we just need 48 hours, so we could have a work session on Thursday or Friday, if anyone, if you guys would want to.
Can I interject here? I just have a couple of questions. Are we going to, and again, I'm just asking, are we going to ask them to commit to certain hours or just a number of days?
No, I think the way Dell, go ahead and, you know, why don't we just, here, I'll go ahead and rescind my motion.
Okay, hold on.
And
motion
then
first.
I'll make a motion and we move forward with it per Dell's recommended language that he just mentioned.
I know
With the
Dell,
8 o'clock
the
to 4 o'clock,
particulars
and
that
then
he had.
We'll leave it up to you guys to change your hours pending,
Kevin, did you want to add something?
so.
well, if we use Dell's wording, then they can't set their own hours. Because
What
Dell
was your
mentioned
wording, Dell?
specific hours.
I just said at least 8, so they couldn't open
Richard?
at 9. Because Brian made a good point, you know, with what happened with beef and bugs, that we didn't have a way to
That is a
enforce
good
that.
point.
Well, at least 8, I mean, are you comfortable with at least 8?
I mean, that's what we had.
Or,
That it wouldn't be 9, 10, 11?
or even 6.
And knowing these guys want
Or even
6:30 or
6? What do you mean, 6
Or
a.m.?
must be open
8
8
hours
hours
a day,
from 6
6
o'clock
days a
to
week.
4 o'clock and during every day or something. You know, give them, I'm all right with having, you know, not tying your hands too bad, but I just don't want to get into a situation where, like I said, we've got another place in town that they're never open.
Right, and our plan is to not do that. And so as far as am I comfortable, or are we comfortable, and that's a big decision that we actually would need to talk about, you know, amongst ourselves. I think that,
really,
you know,
you
we're
don't know.
committed to, sorry, go
I
ahead.
don't know where the market is yet.
Yeah, so
Right, so to
Very
pinch
difficult
us
until you
into
get
like,
open.
You're
box,
you're
it's
open
kind of
from-
scary.
For 8 hours each day, between
Yes.
6 and 4 o'clock, and that gives you some flexibility. I mean,
Could we say
I would like to
six-
see what Dell comes
yeah,
up with.
I was gonna say
guess.
something. I would be more comfortable with something more like 8 hours a day, from for 6 days a week. Like we're definitely committed.
I don't know if we
Those-
should be negotiating our
Okay.
hours. Like, I mean, I'm committed to being the best business that Lawrenceburg can have, serving coffee and roasting coffee and presenting. And I promise you, like from a personal level, that we're not gonna just be open 2 to 4 on Tuesdays. We are doing this to make a living, not to.
Yeah, where I am is I have confidence in what they're saying and that they're going to make this work.
Well,
Yeah, I do
ultimately, if
too.
they don't succeed, they're paying the money back.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing.
That's-
That would
that's
be the
whole thing in a
contract,
nutshell.
right?
If it
Hey,
don't,
Richard.
don't fly.
Do we need
We
a
just
second
figure
on the
it's gonna pay
motion
it
to
back.
rescind?
well, like I said, we had
that
confidence in
made
Beads and
into a
Buds
motion,
too,
or
and they
we're
didn't
good?
do it. They didn't hold up to their
Okay,
end of
just
the
making
bargain. And he sat up there and he told us,
He's gonna take it
the
off.
They have
board,
to pay
that,
the
hey,
money
we're
back,
gonna
Brian?
do this, and,
Well,
you know,
I think
Did they have
we
to
might,
pay
but
the
I
money
think you
back?
guys are putting
We
a good
might
plan
need
together. I
to-
think it's gonna be a great thing.
we might need
But-
to be careful about not remembering everything exactly how it happened and focus on what's in front of us. I mean, the good points made. Good points made.
All right, Brian,
So-
you want to restate your motion again?
Move. I have it. If you would like it, I
You
could
have
do.
it?
I can
Well,
help you with that. I actually wrote it
A
down.
little lost.
I'll just rescind
Can
my
we start
motion,
over?
Again?
and then
Can we
somebody
start
else
over?
make a motion. Because
Anybody
it's-
wanna make a
the-
motion?
The water is too muddied now.
Oh, good
Well,
point. So, Mr. Weldon?
Dell?
I think that, just for my guidance, I think it sounds like we agree on all the parameters, and the only question is, do we want it to be in the contract where they have to open at a certain time of day at the latest, or do we just have no time requirements at all in the contract? It seems like everything else we agree on, so.
8 hours a day, 6 days a week. How about that? That'd make everybody happy? I mean,
8 hours a day,
At
6
a
days a
minimum.
week.
at a minimum.
I don't like putting it in the contract.
Yeah, Kim, like, because in my opinion, and just from where we're at here, like, if that's the case, we would prefer to have a buffer between the start and establishing ourselves as a brand. It's going to take a little bit, and to be open because somebody says we have to, I mean, we're going to be open when people want coffee as much as possible.
So my
I
hesitation
promise.
is it's a small business, family emergency pops up, they're in default, they have to pay back the 25,000 because they weren't open, in theory. It's in black and white if it's in the contract.
We currently have no motion on the floor. Kevin, did you want to make a motion?
I honestly think it's hard to tell them that when they have to be open. I mean, starting out, and we're in different times right now. Things aren't just normal. And I'm sure they got a lot of money tied up in this too. And if me, you'd want to tread the waters, you know what you got to do. You know what he's got in Greendale, and down here, he don't know what he's got yet. I mean, we don't know how much traffic's going to be there. We're speculating, but I think that he sees that the traffic's going to be there. He's going to open earlier. He's going to make the money where he can, and then you're going to sell wine and stuff. And that, unless you say it's 5 o'clock somewhere, you're going to drink it as any time, But I mean, later on that evening, you'll have more help to help bring that along. That's my opinion on that.
Would anyone
can't
like to
make a
make a
motion.
motion?
I appreciate you guys being here. I'm a business owner around the corner. I'm excited, and I'm happy to make the motion to approve this proposal for $25,000.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
You have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed?
Abstain.
And we have one abstention. Can we get a roll call vote?
Yes, Vice President Lenny Fryman. Are you yay or nay?
Me?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't hear you. I'm sorry. Yay.
Yay, okay. Member Brian Johnson?
No,
No.
with the disclaimer that
Right. No,
The only thing is the contract thing, the hours open.
Exactly,
I mean,
no.
and I don't want to pin you down on the hours, but I think you guys will do great.
Okay. Member Kevin Schaefer?
Yes.
Member April Fritsch?
Abstain.
Okay. And Richard? I don't think you have to do a tiebreaker, so I think we're good.
All right, yes, I'd be in favor of it,
Okay.
but only because I know your heart, I can see it. Mr. Weld? Thank you.
And may I just kind of commend the board? I
Actually, you
think
do have
this
to
is
break the timer.
exact conversation that should be had, and this is a new board and a new 4 years, but just from doing a lot of these development agreements, that's the exact discussion that should occur, striking the balance between how involved we want to be in the details and what kind of leeway or open-endedness we give to these agreements. So there was a lot of discussion, but just from my seat over here, that's exactly why you guys are sitting up there, to have that discussion. And so I do want to commend the board because, like I said, I've seen a lot of these agreements get made, and this is how it should be done.
No, thank you, Dale. I would echo that as well. It doesn't matter whether we're making a $1,000 decision or we're making a $25,000 decision or a $15 million decision. I mean, we've got to ask the tough questions and try to get to know you a little bit.
Yep.
I think we do the same for anybody that came in front of us. But we do appreciate your time, and we wish you all the success in the world.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Yeah. Good luck, Mike. I'm sure you do well.
Did you do motion passes and hit the gavel or anything?
Yeah, you need
Motion
to make sure the
passes.
motion passes. Okay. Yeah. You did break the tie. I guess it's
What's
technically a
that?
tie. She abstained and he
That's
said
true.
no, so yeah. Your vote was needed.
Mr. Besmore, we've got transfer of funds for the grant program. I believe this was an item that we had discussed previously. You wanted to bring some more to the table on that?
Yeah, we, as you well know, we contribute to what we refer to as the LRC Main Street Investment Program. One of the line items is residential paint and facade. We budget, and by the way, that's a citywide grant opportunity for homeowner-occupied homes. We budgeted $65,000. We have spent a few $1,000s and less than that. The point is we can't approve any more grants without an additional funding. As I contemplated where we're at on this, I think what I would say tonight is I would, one, recommend a table for tonight. Two, take under advisement with some consideration, but I will also add that we budgeted $65,000 for a reason. We'll spend nearly $65,000, and I may want to recommend that, or I might recommend that. Maybe we should, I'll give you some time to think on it, but that we should just consider whether or not we should fund it at that amount or more when we do 2021 budget. In other words, not add more money to the pot that we've already budgeted for this year.
I would agree on that, under the circumstances of the squeeze of money that we're not getting currently that we normally would from the casino and the other entities. We had discussed that it's a grant program, and as with any grant program, there's a end of the funds, and when the end of the funds go away, they're not available until the following year when the fund is replenished. So I would make the motion to not replenish that for 2020.
I have a motion on the floor not to replenish the grant funds for 2020, the remainder of 2020. Is there any more discussion on that, or would anybody like to second that motion?
Brian, is that your recommendation as well?
Well, like I said, I thought that I've been all over on it personally because it's a good program. So that's why I thought I'd give us a month to consider the idea that in its whole. But I do think, we budgeted $65,000, and as much as we would want to do and do more and more, sometimes we have to really, face the fact that we budgeted a certain amount, and I'm just saying that's kind of where I'm at today with it. So. And we work hard at that, you know, granting those and going through the receipts and making sure they're done properly and keep the credibility of the program. I mean, it's not an easy one to say, oh, we shouldn't do any more. It's just, you know, when does it end? You know?
Could I make a comment, Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
Comment. Is there anybody from Main Street here that could attest to the, some of those grants that have been done in the past?
I don't think Michelle could make it tonight.
I sat on the design committee and approved all these.
You've been a part of a lot of the ones that have been funded out.
Yeah. I mean, it's a fantastic program. I mean, we get before and after pictures. Some really cool things are being done. I'm not knocking the program at all.
Yeah.
I mean,
We're out of money.
I just, you know, sometimes it's, should we throw more at it or not? That's what you got to decide.
What's, April, did you make a motion?
I made
April
the
does have a
motion
motion.
to not replenish it, but for 2020,
Oh.
but to start it back up again in 2021, which is only, what, September, October, 4 months?
I want to add something to this too. We've talked, Brian, I mean, because we go back, you know, everybody that said, hey, I found out about this program, well, I've got all these receipts. And you go back so many months. Can we set this up to where they have to get things okayed before they get started on this program?
Yes, that's a no doubter. We had some flexibility built in to try to accommodate people that weren't aware and just trying to be a little more. But what's happening is people are finding about the program who didn't know about the program, and then they're going back and try to find receipts and do things, and it's become very complicated and kind of undermining the credibility of the program. So what we're asking is that any application submitted or any request for funding submitted from this date forward has to be, you know, pre-approved with competitive quotes. They work perfectly that way. Going backwards, you know, and we do our best to work with the resident and get all the documentation, but I think it's just, you know, they should just be approved before we start and everything's in order.
Yeah, I can see where they could get a little out of hand. Then you don't know what you have because people just bringing stuff in then.
Well, and then again, then we don't have
Not like we
before and
do now.
after pictures,
Yeah.
you know, we don't, you know, and so then it's just, I think it opens up a box that doesn't have to be opened.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with asking for people to submit ahead of time so we can give them some money in itself.
So we could go ahead and shut it off now, funding's done, and then make sure that they run through all the guidelines starting of the next year so that we got more of a hand on what's going on instead of them just bringing all the
Start off with a
receipts to
clean
us.
slate and with firm guidelines.
Right.
And that's
Yeah.
basically the motion that April has on the floor right now.
Correct.
Yeah. I would second that motion myself.
We do have a second.
Yeah.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Right?
All opposed?
I'm gonna vote no as well.
Okay.
We'll get a roll call vote.
All right. Vice President Lenny Fryman,
Yes.
Secretary Kevin Schaefer,
No.
Member April Fritsch,
Yes.
Member Brian Johnson.
No.
No. Okay, so we have a tie vote. President Richard Richardson.
Boy, it's my night, isn't it?
Second one tonight.
I know. Haven't had any yet, and we got two in a
I
row.
know, 2 in a night. Breaking records here.
Yes, I
Yes.
will
Okay, so
concur
then
with the motion.
motion approved.
Okay, if there's no new business.
Nope, you got a motion approved.
Oh, say it again.
You gotta say that the motion's approved.
Motion carries.
Yes, okay, thank you.
Motion carries. If there's no
Make it
additional
official.
new business, we'll move on to old business. We have West High Street. I believe we have bid openings tonight.
That's correct. This is 556 West High. We have received our sealed bids for demolition, and Mr. Clark is proud to be here and happy to serve this evening and get those open for us.
Yes, we did receive 4 sealed quotes. McCool Enterprises, Howard Excavation, Angels Excavating, and Alpha Demolition. So we'll go ahead and open those. The first one is from McCool Enterprises. Okay. Their quote for the demolition and then site restoration is $10,750. The next is from Howard Excavating. Their quote is for $10,600.
Ooh.
Third is from Angels Excavating. Their quote is for $9,690. And the final is from Alpha Demolition.
Alpha?
Alpha. Okay, their quote is for $7,600.
Wow.
Have we used Alpha Demo before?
I've never used them. I do know that they got pre-qualified with Mr. Abden, our safety program. But, I've worked with the other 3. Haven't worked with these guys yet. But they all had the same specifications. So, I guess at this point, not having a reason not to.
No reason to disqualify him at this
Right.
point.
I would recommend that we go with the low quote on this.
I'll make a motion that we go with Alpha Demo for $7,600.
I'll second.
Have a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
All right, thank you.
I did have one other item under West High Street that we had discussed. As you're well aware, this would be the 4th building site that would be available in the west end. And without exception, most people find that to be a really charming, has a community with a lot of potential. And so, we were trying to figure out when was the right time perhaps to make these lots available as we have across the city. So I would like the board to consider doing some research on that, doing some on your own discussion. But I think we need to start talking about if we are to move those properties to public for disposition, which would be the average to appraisals and all those kinds of things. There's demand for property. It's a good time probably to build, that we would need to thoroughly discuss some development standards for that community to try to assure that the construction materials and the street appearance and all those things that can be done the best they can be applied to these standards, and see what we can come up with for that community.
Would you foresee a work session to be planned to discuss this?
We can discuss it maybe even in the next meeting. Maybe it depends on how full the agenda gets, because this could get
That's what I
Is
mean.
there
It
interest
could-
in the lots down there? Do you have some people with interest?
There's interest in the lots. There has been interest.
How many
in the lots.
people are we talking? 4, 5, 6, 10?
Casually 4 or 5, but I think, you know, I mean, it's just a cool neighborhood, and, you know,
And really, that's
obviously there's
just for
some
the 4 or
houses that
5.
could use some, you know, some fixing up, but, you know, we have an opportunity to plant some seeds in there and maybe, encourage investment and, you know, springboard some of those properties, you know, into a new lot.
Okay. I mean, I think we definitely need to start looking at moving on some of them properties down there, because I believe that we got people that want to buy them. And I know I've actually had a phone call 2 weeks ago from a lady in Milan that lives in Ripley Crossing. She was already interested in this place that we're, you know, looking to build over here by the license branch on the Durban Plaza, you know. And then she had said she had already been on the list over here for Edinburgh, and, you know, and it's like, well, that's a ways out. So, and then she started talking about the, you know, the apartments down there. So, I mean, there's a lot of people that are looking, you know, to move into Lawrenceburg. I think it's time to move on that and see what we can get for them.
I agree with you, and I think it should be sooner rather than later.
I agree.
Mr. Clark?
I just ask that maybe we do have some lengthy discussion on this. As Brian stated, that is a very unique area in Lawrenceburg. And in the redevelopment process, we have one shot to do it right. And I just think we need to have a lengthy discussion on both sides of start redevelopment now, or do we need to learn more and, you know, have a little bit more to help redevelop it as, you know, one larger piece.
So maybe have a work session just on that particular subject rather than try to do it on the agenda and drag out a regular meeting.
Almost seems like you'd have to. I mean,
Yeah.
we
I mean,
could
to
be
do it
going into
right.
the weeds a little bit here, even now, just continuing the discussion, but I would personally recommend a work session to be held on it.
Right, and I'm in. It's good for me.
Well, why don't we have somebody check our dates and let's get together for a work session.
Kelly,
Kelly?
can
Does
you?
that need a motion,
Yep.
Brian?
Why don't we put that in a motion?
Motion
if you
for
want?
Does that need a motion?
If you need a motion to schedule a work session.
No, it's fine. I'll do it regardless.
We don't need to do that. Kelly, you can
Yeah.
coordinate everybody together and try to set up something.
Are you looking within like the next week or two then? Sooner rather than
Maybe
later?
the next couple of weeks,
Okay.
right?
Sounds good.
2 weeks.
If you,
fine,
as
a
long
week's
as you want
fine.
it before the next meeting. Perfect.
And then we can bring to,
Pick some dates
meeting.
there and get them out,
Yeah.
and we'll see what we can come up with.
Okay. Got it.
Mr. Messmore, were you gonna take over the Main Street report? Oh, I'm sorry, were you done with the West High Street?
I believe I was.
Sorry.
I believe I was. Main Street report. This is in your packets as always. It is included, and it, just to note there on the front page, you can see the number, I believe I counted earlier, 18 residential paint and facade projects, this year. Of course, that's a 2-to-1, isn't it? Yeah, so it's a little heavier on the public fund side than some of the other programs, but it's generated $129,000 of improvements, those 18 projects, so it's a good program.
Anybody have any questions about the report? Guys, okay? All right. If everybody's had a chance to review the claims, I'll go ahead and take a motion to approve those.
So moved?
Do we have a second?
Second.
Second on the floor. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Have any comments from the audience this evening? Yes, Ms. Fauch.
Quick question. That work session that you're gonna have about West High Street, is that open to the public?
Yeah.
Yes.
Work session, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be
Sure.
open to the public.
Advertised
I don't know if it goes on the paper or not. Do those-
Definitely be on our website, and then it'll be posted outside of our buildings. I'm pretty sure it does go to the paper, though. But unless your office
Sure it
has changed
does,
that,
but-
okay. They're supposed to send those in.
It'll be tough, what is it, 48 hours prior to, so.
Yeah.
Okay,
Are
you
you,
can
do you
always-
follow the Facebook page?
yeah.
I believe they get shared on
It's on the City
Facebook,
of
no?
Lawrenceburg page.
City of Lawrenceburg, go to thinklawrenceburg.com, and we'll always have it posted right away as soon as it's on there.
Yeah, I think Lawrenceburg.com is a great
Or
one-stop
you-
shop for just about
you
anything
can
you
always
need from the
call-
city of Lawrenceburg.
You can always just
so.
call me, too. That's fine. Yeah.
All right, if there are no other comments, we will take Mr. Schneider.
I want to thank you for awarding the money to the coffee company. We had 10 inquiries, and the inquiries were all legitimate. They were either existing businesses or people who were starting businesses. So, and we turned all the names, we took them in order. One of the groups has bought a property on East High Street, no, West High Street. And, the other companies, they're all looking. So I'm just telling you that because you're gonna have more people in here, with ideas, and there aren't any spaces.
Send them our way.
Thank you.
Send them
I
to
gave
Main
them
Street,
all,
Brian.
I gave all the list to Main Street of everyone who inquired. And we even had people tell us that they would pay us more rent than we were asking, and they would pay us a year's rent in advance. And we told them that we were gonna take the people in order based on their inquiry. So they were first.
Well, thank you, Tom. You have a beautiful building.
Thank you.
All right, if there's nothing else, I will accept a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Do we have a second?
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
we always like to adjourn.
We couldn't get a tiebreaker on the adjournment?
Hey,
Paul,
we got-
congratulations.
Hey, it was good playing with you.
I was looking for a tiebreaker on the